Have you noticed that kids don't cry anymore? It's not maturity, it's emotional anesthesia. And the scary part? It starts long before anyone realizes. We're taught to admire the ones who grew up fast, the responsible one, the strong one, the mature kid, but no one talks about the cost. Because behind every child who doesn't cause trouble, there's someone who learned to hide pain just to be accepted. And in this video, I'm going to show you why that happens, what it does to the brain and the identity, and why adults who grew up like that often feel empty, even when they have everything. But to really understand it, you need to see the full picture, and it will only make sense at the end. What looks like strength is often survival, and what looks like maturity is fear in disguise. Fear of making mistakes, fear of being a burden, fear of being the reason someone yells again. Growing up too fast isn't a skill, it's a shield. A child doesn't mature by choice, they mature because they have no other option. And when that happens, something breaks quietly inside them. The belief that it's safe to be weak. You're about to see how this transformation happens. How a simple stop crying repeated 1,000 times becomes a control mechanism so deep that it erases even the instinct to ask for help. But before we go deeper, think about this. When was the last time you saw a child truly sad without someone rushing in to say, "You're fine, don't cry"? That's the trap. The world doesn't want authentic kids, it wants obedient ones. And that kind of good behavior comes with a hidden price. A price most people only realize when it's too late to go back. And what comes next is the part no one talks about. Because sometimes, childhood ends long before the age of 10. It usually starts with a sentence that sounds harmless. Be strong. Don't cry. You're not a baby anymore. But for a child, those words hit like commands from another world, a world where love feels conditional. Suddenly, crying isn't allowed, asking for help feels wrong, and emotions become dangerous. So they adapt. They smile when they're scared. They say "I'm fine" before they even know what fine means. They start reading faces instead of books, trying to predict moods, prevent conflicts, and keep the peace. That's not maturity. That's hypervigilance. And here's the first shock. The world rewards them for it. Teachers say, "You're so independent." Parents brag, "My kid is so mature for their age." Society loves calm, quiet, responsible children, especially when they make adults' lives easier. But while everyone applauds, something invisible is happening inside that child. Their nervous system is learning that safety equals silence, that love has to be earned by being useful, that crying equals weakness, and weakness means rejection. By the time they reach their teenage years, they don't explode in anger or collapse in tears. They just shut down. They smile at the right times, say the right things, and carry a weight no one can see. They become emotionally efficient, not because they're balanced, but because they've learned to suppress everything that makes them human. And this is where it gets darker. When that same pattern follows them into adulthood, the strong kid becomes the friend who never asks for help. The responsible child becomes the adult who can't rest without guilt. And the mature one? They become the person who looks fine but feels nothing. Almost no one notices, because from the outside, they look successful. But inside, they're exhausted. Not physically, emotionally. It's the kind of exhaustion that doesn't go away with sleep. And yet, almost no one connects the dots back to childhood. Because no one wants to admit that the very things we praise in children might be the reason so many adults feel broken. Here's the part almost no one talks about. When a child grows up too fast, their brain doesn't just mature early. It rewires itself to survive. Every time they suppress a feeling, the brain learns a lesson. Emotions are dangerous. So, it builds armor, layer after layer, until expressing vulnerability feels like walking naked through a battlefield. That armor keeps them safe as kids, but it isolates them as adults. And if this sounds familiar, it's not your fault. You didn't choose to be the strong one. You had to be. Maybe you were the peacekeeper in a house full of yelling. Maybe you learned that silence kept people from leaving. Or maybe you just realized that crying never changed anything, it only made things worse. So you grew up fast. You stopped asking. You started performing. And the world rewarded you for being mature. But deep down, your body never forgot what it cost. That's why so many adults feel permanently tense, always scanning, always ready. It's not overthinking, it's a survival reflex that never turned off. And the cruel irony, the same skills that made you strong as a child, self-control, awareness, independence, are the very ones that make connection difficult later. You struggle to trust because trust once meant danger. You avoid conflict because conflict once meant chaos. And when someone finally says, "You can relax now," your nervous system doesn't believe them. That's the hidden cost of growing up too fast. You become so good at controlling your emotions that you forget how to feel them. And the worst part? No one blames the system that created you, they blame you. They call you cold, detached, or emotionally unavailable. But they never ask why. Here's the truth. You're not broken. You're just carrying patterns that once kept you safe. You adapted in the only way you could. But there's a catch. And it's the part that most people never figure out. Because even though you learned to survive, you never actually learned how to live. The strong, mature child doesn't disappear when you become an adult. They just move into your body and start running your life. That's why you apologize for existing when you're not being useful. That's why silence feels safer than honesty. And that's why you can comfort everyone, except yourself. You didn't lose your emotions, you buried them under a lifetime of control. And somewhere beneath all that composure, there's still a kid who never got to cry. Not because they didn't want to, but because the world never gave them permission. Healing doesn't look like suddenly feeling happy. It looks like learning how to feel again, without shame. It looks like sitting with a feeling and saying, "I don't need to fix you, I just need to understand you." It looks like crying for the first time in years, and realizing it's not weakness, it's release. Most people think growing up means becoming tougher. It doesn't. Real growth is the opposite. It's becoming softer, finally safe enough to let the walls fall. Because the version of you that never cried was never truly safe. And if you're wondering how to start, here's the uncomfortable answer. You have to unlearn survival. That means letting go of control in small ways. Saying no without guilt. Letting someone help you, even if it feels unnatural. Allowing silence without trying to fill it. It's slow, awkward, and messy. But every time you do it, you're teaching your body a new truth. It's safe to rest now. And that's the real cost of growing up too fast. You spend your adulthood learning how to do the things you were never allowed to do as a child. Trust, cry, play, and be. But here's the twist. The moment you stop trying to be the strong one, you finally start becoming the real one. And yet, there's one last part, the reason so many never make it to that point. Because even after understanding all this, there's still one belief that keeps people stuck. There is a belief that keeps most people trapped. That if you stop being strong, everything will fall apart. That if you finally let go, the people around you won't know what to do. That your strength is the glue holding everything together. But that's not strength. That's fear wearing armor. Real strength isn't holding your breath while life happens. It's learning to exhale. It's letting yourself cry without apology. It's saying, "I need help," and understanding that those words don't make you weak, they make you human. For years, you've been told that crying is failure. That emotions are distractions. That calmness equals control. But now you know, the reason kids don't cry anymore isn't because they've evolved, it's because they've been taught to hide. And many of those kids grow into adults who never learn to stop hiding. The cost of growing up too fast is simple but devastating. You learn to survive at the expense of being alive. You master stability, but lose spontaneity. You achieve control, but forget joy. You become reliable, but feel replaceable. And it takes years to realize that you don't have to earn rest, peace, or love. You always deserve them. If this message hits something inside you, it's probably because part of you still remembers that kid. The one who was told to be strong. The one who never got to just be. You can't go back and give them the childhood they lost, but you can give them safety now by becoming the adult who lets them cry, laugh, and breathe again. That's how healing begins, not by erasing the past, but by rewriting the rules it left behind. And if this kind of truth helps you see yourself differently, subscribe, not for me, but for you. Because you deserve to keep hearing that you're not broken. You just adapted to a world that didn't know how to handle your sensitivity. Remember this before you scroll away. The problem was never that you felt too much. It's that the world forgot how to feel at all.